Welcome to Costa Rica, everybody. This is Sean from One with Nature. I recently had a chance to go to the far northwest corner of Costa Rica, not far from the Nicaraguan border. It's very beautiful there. I liked it quite a bit. And while I was there, I was surprised to find one of the greatest anti-anxiety, stress-busting, mood-elevating herbs known, and it's called mimosa. The Latin binomial is albizia julibrissin, the Chinese name huan, and this is the flower of the mimosa tree. I prefer to use the bark, personally, but the flower is, let's face it, much more appealing to look at compared to tree bark. Now, this is the mimosa tree that I accidentally stumbled upon in Costa Rica. I was very happy to see it. It does grow in spots all over the United States, but it really thrives in areas where there is no winter to stunt its growth, and it grows like crazy. Now, outside of those who are herbal practitioners, mimosa bark is still one of the best, relatively unknown mood elevators out there. And while it's true to say that mimosa bark can put feelings of happiness within you, that would really be shortchanging the powerful effects which mimosa can have. Some people prefer the flowers, some the bark, like I said. I personally prefer the bark of the mimosa tree. I feel it has a stronger effect. Tinctures and extracts of both the flowers and the bark are commercially available for you to try, but before you run out and start ordering mimosa bark extract online, this is not an herb for everyone. People who should not use mimosa bark are those who are pregnant, if you are bipolar, or taking medications for being bipolar. Don't use mimosa bark. This really brings up emotions up and out of you. And if you're dealing with PTSD, please use mimosa bark in conjunction with a skilled therapist. Like I say, this is a shun herb. The traditional Chinese medicine term it a shun herb. It affects our heart and our spirit, and when you take this herb, it will affect the way that you look at, think about, and feel about emotional issues that linger in your heart. Mimosa bark does have the power to bust stress, to reduce anxiety, and to make it seem at times as if you're just smiling uncontrollably. Because it uplifts the spirit, it's used in traditional Chinese medicine for people who have an emotional disturbance or a shun disturbance, a disturbed shun. The name huan translates to collective happiness peel. That's only if I pronounce that correctly. And collective happiness peel is a fantastic description of exactly what this is. But the true treasure of mimosa bark is its ability to fortify and rebuild the spirit of those who are stuck in a cycle of grief that they can't get out of. For those suffering from a broken heart, or perhaps their spirit is sunk because of an emotionally devastating event in their lives, mimosa bark can come to the rescue. For some people, an emotionally devastating event might be their pet dying. For others, it may be the loss of a spouse, another family member, some other loved one. People react in different ways to grief. And what would be a relative non-event for one person, they can brush it off kind of easily, might be a world ender for another person. But either way, mimosa bark just might bring an individual back from the pits of emotional despair. Before you use mimosa bark to stop the grief that you're feeling, please be aware that grief is normal. There's nothing wrong with grieving. It's something we need to experience and process, and then live with for a time. As human beings, a huge part of our lives is experiencing emotions. And while we may only want to experience what we consider the good emotions, it doesn't work that way. We are going to experience all of the emotions possible, while spending time on this big blue marble, and short-circuiting or trying to bypass or cheat ourselves out of experiencing bad emotions will only result in these emotions coming right back out later in our lives. And you know what? It's going to happen probably at the worst possible time. So if you do have an herb or class of herbs, as we will see, that can short-circuit the grief process, the question is, when do we say enough is enough and begin using these herbs? Well, as you can imagine, how long a person should grieve is something that's intensely personal. It's going to vary from individual to individual. It's not for others to judge. However, there's nothing wrong with making someone aware of herbs that can ease the grief that they're feeling. Herbs that will feed the heart, feed their spirit, and feed the central nervous system, which really gets a workout when we're under emotional distress. And these herbs can give someone a renewed emotional strength, a new purpose in life. And telling someone about herbs like these when they are emotionally distressed would be an act of kindness, but it's up to them when and how they want to use them. Herbs like mimosa bark, Damiana leaf, the berries, leaves, and flowers of Hawthorne, rose petals, the Kava-Kava root, the wonderful Milky oat seed extract, Tulsi leaf, black Galangal, Mondia, Whitei. Just for example, these are herbs that when you take them, you feel great. They're non-addictive, and they each have various strengths, and each of them have different occasions for when they're appropriate to use, and each of them have different times when they'll kick in. They don't all work right away. But you don't want to just buy all of these and throw them all together and eat them and hope for the best. But in varying ways, each one of these herbs can lighten the load on the emotions, the spirit, the heavy heart, the fried nervous system, and they can begin to pull this veil of emotional distress from the psyche. But again, I have to emphasize, don't be too quick to use these herbs. Give yourself time to grieve and process what you are feeling. Before using herbs like mimosa bark, we can jumpstart their effectiveness by, number one, cleaning up your diet. Doesn't matter what diet you pick, just eliminate the junk. We all know what the junk is. You eat good food, you feel good. You eat junk food, you feel like junk, especially as we get older and our stomach acid gets weaker. Number two, get up out of your chair and move. Go for a walk. Jump up and down on a rebounder, whatever it takes, as long as you are in motion on a regular basis. Number three, find someone you can talk to, a confidant, somebody you trust and you can bare your soul to, someone who is a good listener. Consider these actions as preparatory work for making sure that the herbs you're about to take will perform to the best of their ability. While herbs themselves can be effective, if you mix complementary herbs together, you're going to have a more sure, steady, and elevated effect when you use them. So what herbs would be good to use with mimosa bark? Well, I have repeatedly seen great results when using a concentrated extract of the leaves, berries, and flowers of the Hawthorne plant. Two companies that make a superior concentrated Hawthorne extract are Gaia Herbs and Herbalist and Alchemist. I will provide links in the item description for both of these companies. These formulas are not identical. Each company makes their Hawthorne extract a little bit different. So go to the links, read up, and see which one you feel you will receive the best benefit from. By the way, I receive no financial remuneration from these companies or any company that I mention in any video for any product. And another great herb to use in conjunction with mimosa and hawthorn would be Milky oat seed extract. Milky oat seed is probably the greatest restorative herb for the central nervous system that we know of. It does take a while to kick in. Some people will see results within a week or two. Some people, it's going to take 3 months. And for some people, a side effect of milky oat seed is you will no longer have a taste for alcohol. You will probably take one drink and the next day you're going to feel terrible. And no more nights of 3, 4, 6, whatever your previous habit was, it's going to be curtailed. Not for everybody, but for some people, milky oat seed will just shut off any desire for alcohol. And I have seen great results with Herb Farm brand milky oat seed extract. Ironically, this is an alcohol-based milky oat seed extract, but that's what I've seen work the best. I will be going further in depth on the effects of herbs like hawthorn berry and mimosa bark in a future video. This is the first of a series of videos dealing with herbs and how they can help you if you are dealing with emotional heartache, heartbreak, grief. And I'm going to show you that healing a broken heart is possible. I've spoken with a lot of people that think it's not possible to heal a broken heart. You can only wait. It just takes time, they say, let alone using herbs. But if you can speed heal physical wounds, both externally and internally using herbs, you can heal emotional wounds if you use herbs that feed, nourish, and balance the heart, brain, spirit, and central nervous system. So, just a few words about mimosa bark there and its herbal friends that help the mimosa bark work much better than just using mimosa bark alone. Although I want to be clear, I have seen great success from people just using mimosa bark alone. If you're on a budget and you can only try one thing, you might want to try just the mimosa bark and see how you react to it. My name is Sean. I am one with nature. Thank you for watching.